So for example, maybe incident recovery or customer support. How do you see, you mentioned it a bit just now, but how do you see that your business being, let's say, augmented with AI and improve your services?
I see it as AI is the awareness level. It brings the awareness to everybody in the sphere, from the network administrator down to the support desk technician. If a customer comes on, what's going on with my server? I don't have connectivity from my house to here. It can pull the customer's data, find out what containers they have or what servers they have, go onto the monitoring stack, see what's going on there, and in real time while they're still talking to the chat box, because you don't want just the chat box, you want the operation behind it. So while they're still talking to the chat box, it's running a detailed analysis on their stack to see what is the problem, and it's alerting the people in real time to get them back online, and it can reply back, oh, we detected something going on with your server. We rebooted your server and it looks like it's online now.
Welcome to Digital Leaders Club. I'm Guillaume Cheno from Engeno. This show is built for the leaders running real-world operations. And today that means someone running the infrastructure that leaders running real-world operation quietly need and depend on every day. I'm John with Marcus Covington, founder and CEO of Glasshouse Hosting. So welcome to the show, Marcus. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Gil. Thank you for having me. I'm doing fantastic today.
Excellent. So let's start with this, Marcus. How did you end up running infrastructure?
I started when I was a young child, actually. I started messing around with digital computers. Got my first laptop back in 1991, I believe, and kind of got bitten by the bug. Shortly after graduating high school, went to technical school. I went to technical school and started learning digital networking and information technology. Started in Computer Education Institute, then moved on to DeVry to get real world applications, and slowly progressed into the back end. Found I liked interconnectivity, network servers, how the whole thing kind of talked to each other and worked and interacted with one another, create what is now the internet.
Right, because in 91, it was internet existed, but it was really let's say pre-public, or almost anyone, no one had internet at that time, right?
It was still ARPANET, I believe, back then.
Yeah.
The Advanced Research Institute. They had the control over everything until it went public around 1994, and everybody started getting their own personal desktops. That was the whole AOL boom.
Yeah. I remember those days. So, Marcus, tell me, what is Glass Hosting? The stack, the customer, the scale.
Glass Hosting started off as a game server hosting provider. We started providing game server hosting for Minecraft servers, and slowly through a lot of our pain points, moved into an actual hosting provider where we control our own hardware. So Glass Hosting became not just a game host provider, but a virtual private server provider, virtual machine provider, and evolved into e-commerce and other parts of the industry where people needed a service, but were tired of the runaround from all the major carriers out there. So we introduced an easier system for them to get into and be able to get the services that they need.
So who's your typical customer?
Typical customers now are small business owners. We have a couple small business owners that run their entire e-commerce store off of our infrastructure. We are targeting game developers, independent game developers, and game studios to be able to run and host their multiplayer platforms on our systems.
And tell me, what does your typical week looks like? In person.
A lot of sitting in the background, making sure that everything's working properly, that it's nothing breaks and we don't receive the tickets from the customer. Like, where's my service? Making sure that our DNS servers are running and they're replicating to another, that we're monitoring the rejections from our email server, making sure that the virtual LANs between customers' devices are working, so that there's no interruption between transfer inter-network transfer. Just a lot of maintenance and definitely a lot of sales.
Yeah. So you run the business, you do sales, and you are also hands on the keyboard for
Yes,
operations, right? You're kind of
yes.
add down to that. That's a lot of roles to play at the same time.
It it is a lot of hats, but I manage my time effectively to be able to do everything and still not burn myself out.
Mhm. Yeah, I can imagine. So, what would be the hardest part outsiders would never get from your job, from your organization?
Finding out that one configuration file that has a 1 instead of a 0 and spending 9 hours to locate that one bit,
And what the consequence of not finding it?
the entire network could go down. You would
Yeah,
have no connectivity. Just the changing of a 1 to a 0 means everything's connected. There's a phrase in the industry, don't touch it, it works.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can.
Anybody who's spent any time in the back end knows you unplug one Ethernet cable from the switch, and even though you put it back into the same spot, it's not exactly going to work the same.
It's a living thing, right?
Yeah, it's a living organism. It really is.
All right. So on your website, you say 99.9% uptime, no oversell promise. So tell me, how do you really back that number? How does it materialize?
I constantly monitor our network stack to make sure that our connectivity is going. Anytime we have a disconnection with our upstream provider, we are immediately either Discord, Slack, or whatever communication platform to the support team. We're on what's going on, what's the time frame. If it's anything internal on our end, okay, what caused the issue? And our environment is Proxmox native. So if one of our servers does go down, we're able to offload the customer's containers onto another server in a matter of seconds instead of hours.
So can you explain what Proxmox is for the audience?
Proxmox
And
is
for myself
a
as well. I'm not super familiar with that one.
you're familiar with hypervisors and
Yeah.
virtual machines. Proxmox is a operational layer virtualization machine. It's a Linux kernel that loads onto the operating system, and instead of taking up necessary resources for unnecessary processes, it allocates everything, frees up more availability to use on the server, and create multiple instances of a server in one environment. So you could have 10 Windows machines, 5 Linux running Alpine or Ubuntu, and all of them work in a virtual environment like you would have in the server room.
Right. So it's like simulating multiple machines in one machine, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Allowing the ability for multiple machines to run in one machine.
Right. So on your website, you're super transparent about your roadmap, what you're building. So why the transparency bit? Why does that matter?
That comes from a couple of our own personal experiences where we had no idea what happened to our service and found out a week or two later that the server we were renting had been sold. Nobody had notified us. They didn't let us know, and I didn't like that at one bit. So one thing that I wanted to change in the industry is the transparency to the customer, so the customer knows, hey, this is what's going on. There could be a possibility some data might be lost. Let's go ahead and start saving your stuff, making backups now, so in case data is lost, we can get you back up and running instead of, hey, where's my server?
Makes sense. So how do you respond to, I guess, some typical objection that you might get? Why should I go host my stuff at Glass Hosting and not on whatever big cloud you want to name?
That comes up a lot of times in discovery calls whenever we're trying to onboard somebody. And frankly, we are not a hyperscaler. We're not here pumping out numbers and trying to get as many servers as we can online. We are a hosting company with the focus on real customer service so that the customers are able to produce what they are looking to produce. So they don't have us as a pain point and eliminate anything that goes on. You can go with a hyperscaler and you're probably going to pay a lot more for a premium name and have a number in the system as this is the person and they have this, but they're not going to have that smaller scale dedication to your service.
Right. So I'm guessing you own your own hardware, right? And you kind of build your stack on top of those hardware to serve your customers. So have you yourself consider? So first, am I right before I go that far?
We have a hybrid system, so the core of everything that we do is our hardware. And then we do have services that we operate ourselves that are in a virtual environment. But we choose a vendor that is highly reputable and their service is top notch.
All right. So for your own business, have you ever considered virtualizing everything using Hyperscaler? And why do you feel that having that top-notch user experience and dedicated service, like you were saying, why you're currently using that model you just described?
Part of the model that we use is cost. Anytime you rent a rack, you run into hidden fees. The largest fee is cooling and power. If you go over your power allocation, it's brutal. It can get into the thousands of dollars. We choose our system because it works most effectively for us.
Yeah.
We're with our own hardware, we're able to maintain control of everything and set it up how it needs to be set up without having to put in a ticket, wait for somebody to get to it, which could take 6 hours to 24 hours depending on the escalation of the ticket.
Yeah, makes sense. So you said you started with game hosting. So what makes that segment worth it for you? Is it just an accident and it happened to work, or you see a nice niche for you there?
Game hosting started. I wanted to run a Minecraft server. This was
Yourself?
way myself.
Yeah.
This was way back when, and I needed somewhere to put it, and so we started renting with the main providers out there. Apex is one, and you got Bloom, but it didn't match up to what we wanted, so we moved into our own. This was still when we were trying to run our own game, our own Minecraft server. And as I started getting more familiar with the back end and how everything operates and how it runs game systems, started moving into providing it for people who wanted their own private friend server. And I started noticing as time started progressing, I started noticing that independent game developers was on the rise. The AAA game developers were starting to let a lot of senior devs off, and I started seeing a increase in the market for a need for independent game developers and game studios to have somewhere to work on their new games. So we opened up the larger operation towards game developers so that they'd have somewhere where they could not have to pay the high price of a hyperscaler and have a safe and secure place to work on their projects.
That makes sense. And how big is game hosting for you? So what portion of your revenue comes from game hosting as opposed to, let's say, regular hosting?
I would say about 40% of game hosting is revenue. It merges into a lot of managed service provider as well. So the game hosting, because we're managing the network behind it, it moves into the MSP categories as a large portion of our revenue.
So unless you've been in a cave for the last couple of years, AI has been the buzzword, right? for a
Uh-huh.
few years already. Um, how does it affect your business positively, or how does it bring maybe challenges? So how do you think about AI as an operator of infrastructure like yourself?
I think that AI needs to be more integrated into the operating level of networks. And it's not it's not to replace jobs or anything like that. But what we need to create is an infrastructure where the AI tools are able to seamlessly monitor the network stack, be able to detect when an outage might occur, write up a ticket towards the support technician or administrator, be like, hey, look, this is what's happening. These are the proposed steps. Let's get this happen before something becomes a ticket. Now there needs to be a lot of guardrails and everything that need to be set up in place, not just let it have free roam of everything, but being able to provision a server through AI, it will be more efficient, I would say. The AI has the ability to create a profile of each server. This is what's on the server. This is how the server's set up. This is how we need to set up the routing tables and do that over time, do the repetitive task over time again. And you will see a reduction in misprovisioned servers or servers that are not able to connect out correctly. And also keep that security layer so that there will not be intrusion into the system. It can detect there's a possibility that there might be a DDoS attack or somebody's trying to access the system unauthorized and can create a honeypot or something of the sort to be able to monitor what the attacker is doing and then sever that connection. So
Mhm.
now you have the real-time telemetry and data to be able to analyze everything that's going on. Now, I think AI on an organizational level is going to be powerful.
And where are you at Glass Hosting in terms of implementing and adopting AI in your own operations?
Right now, we are in prototype phase. I'm about 2 weeks away from having a provisioning prototype set up.
Nice.
Once we get all the bugs worked out with the provisioning, we're going to work our way into the the more technical AIs, and yeah, we're gonna be working more towards the more technicals where they're going to be doing the automatic detections and monitoring of the stacks. You got different programs out there, Prometheus, Grafana, that it can monitor as well as all the logs. It can pull up everything. But we got to make sure that we're not letting it run freely. It has to have permissions just like any other user.
Mhm.
So it can't run past its scope. Definitely want to make sure that there's no scope creep or anything, which AI has a tendency to do if it's not doesn't have proper guardrails.
Yeah, yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. So, like everyone else, like, I mean, you are currently adopting AI, right? So, what does the future look like for you, let's say in a near term, in terms of how your users, your customers will benefit from how you improve with AI? So, for example, maybe incident recovery or customer support. How do you see? You mentioned it a bit just now, but how do you see that your business being, let's say, augmented with AI and improve your services?
I see it as AI is the awareness level. It brings the awareness to everybody in the sphere, from the network administrator down to the support desk technician. If a customer comes on, what's going on with my server? I don't have connectivity from my house to here. It can pull the customer's data, find out what containers they have or what servers they have, go onto the monitoring stack, see what's going on there, and in real time while they're still talking to the chat box, because you don't want just the chat box, you want the operation behind it. So while they're still talking to the chat box, it's running a detailed analysis on their stack to see what is the problem, and it's alerting the people in real time to get them back online, and it can reply back, oh, we detected something going on with your server. We rebooted your server and it looks like it's online now. Can you verify? So it reduces the amount amount of time that somebody is down from hours to minutes, and while they're still sitting there talking to the.
How far do you think you and your industry are from that for, let's say, similar hosting solutions like yours? Do you see that being adopted? Do you feel like everyone is behind? How do you see your industry?
I see people starting to adopt it now. Dan Martell has a great resource that he's working on right now, where it creates AI agents that act like digital employees. So you're starting to see people adopting AI into their infrastructure. I'm seeing, shoot, I just saw one yesterday. The agent actively monitors and profiles the user that they're talking to, and creates a profile based on the interactions with the user, and you turn that same technology into the operations behind it. You start the profiles, you start the inquiries and everything that it needs, then it becomes smarter. And the thing about AI is it doesn't forget. So if there is something that it needs to pull up, it pulls up the profile, scans the profile because it's going to log the important information. So it scans the profile. Okay, we had something similar to this. This is how we went to mitigate it. So let's go ahead and try to do that now.
What's your, say, 5-year vision in terms of where you want to be in 5 years?
In 5 years, I want to see the AI culture go away from we're replacing jobs to we're creating a force multiplier, making people more efficient. Because you're seeing a lot of companies integrate AI into their system, but they're failing because they're integrating it wrong. You know, you don't want to have AI take total control, but you also got to have the operator behind the screen be able to know how to use the AI effectively. So I hope to see in the next 5 years we're moving into that phase where people are starting to adopt it, and we're in the forefront of the innovation towards not just making another bot, but we're making the force multiplication of somebody's abilities.
It makes sense. And that's exactly what I'm also saying to our employees. What we want AI to do is augment ourselves, right? Not
Yeah.
replace us. It might happen at some time, but we're not in a Terminator movie, right?
No.
I
Well,
guess
I
you're old enough to know the movie.
yes, I am. It's the Terminator 2, my favorite movie right there. We don't want to create the Terminator series, but I have a phrase that I use constantly. AI is like, and if anybody's seen the movie, they'll get the reference. Is like 10-second Tom with a 200 IQ. It knows exactly what you're doing for 10 seconds and then forgets it.
Yeah.
So we need to keep the education on it, and work towards the memory of it so that it becomes better.
Mm.
And as a result, we become better as as a result. Our abilities are able to excel. The workflow we're able to produce is increased. Smaller teams are needed to create what large teams were able to do, and then it's going to create, as a result, thousands and thousands of businesses based around it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Marcus, we're almost at time. Maybe a couple of questions, quick
Mhm.
answers. What's the most overrated thing in hosting today? Overrated.
What do you mean overrated? Like,
What people think it's huge. Well, it's not that of a big deal, right? Or it's what people are looking for that is not this important, right? So maybe I could flip the question to when someone is looking for hosting, what are the aspect that they should consider mostly?
definitely what they need to achieve out of it, what their end goal is. Everything has a different tool for different jobs. You can't have a one size fit all. I think a lot of people look for a one size fit all type of solution.
One tool you can run without.
One tool I could run without? I don't think there is one.
No?
The
Your
every
computer, maybe?
tool. I definitely can't live without my computer. I wouldn't be able to get anything done. I really don't know. Everything to me has a use. Everything.
A recent decision you regret for your business?
It wasn't a decision I wanted to make, but I had to let somebody go.
That's always hard, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the reality of running a business. You got to keep the focus.
True. If not glass hosting, what would you be doing today?
Probably, I would still be working behind the scenes on my own private network, but definitely be more focused on the Minecraft server.
You play still on Minecraft?
No, I do. I don't have the time anymore.
All right. All right.
I still have the server up, but it just runs itself.
Cool.
Benefits of having your own hosting company.
All right, Marcus, thank you so much for your time. Before I let you go, where can listeners find you? So let's say I need a Minecraft server. How do we get in touch?
You can definitely go to glasshosting.com and sign up for a Minecraft server. For any of the virtualization servers right now, we do have to require a contact, an email or anything. So you can reach me at sales@glasshosting.com for any kind of virtualization environment, as well as any managed service providing that we can provide for you.
Again, Marcus, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You have a great weekend yourself.